Hey, Travon, good to see you. Good to see you today. I know, one of the, Coach Smart has talked a lot about, as far as the team goes, about having a chip on its shoulder and that kind of thing. From a defensive perspective, how does that apply to you guys after the SEC championship game heading into the Michigan game?
Just after that SEC championship game, we have a lot that we wanted to work on after that game and wanted to improve on. So just having that chip on our shoulder is going to, like I say, it is something that our defense has to step up this game and make a statement.
Travon, I had a chance to cover you at 13 WMAZ in Macon. So congratulations on your continued success. Can you talk a little bit about how your high school basketball skills have helped you out to this point, and also, what Coach Parks was able to do for you as you continue to represent the 706?
Yes, basketball helped me in a lot of ways, but mainly I can say basketball helped me with my feet work and explosion. And also with Coach Park, he was one of those guys that he showed me the ropes early on with like how the recruiting process of college goes and just how my college life will be.
Let's go to Mark Weiser and then Chip Towers.
Travon, Michigan's offense, can you talk about the challenges they present in terms of, their play calling and formationally? Is it much different than what you've seen during the season?
I can say it is kind of different because they like to run the ball a lot more than a lot of the teams have been doing this year. And they use a lot of different formations. They use a lot of NFL formations. So it is something that we have to adjust to.
What does that mean for a defensive guy? Like, what are your keys? How much do you have to be on your toes?
I mean, as a defense, we just have to go out there and do what we do. It's just that we have to earn our right to rush the passer. So we have to stop the run first.
Yeah, Travon, obviously this is a college football playoff. It's also the Orange Bowl. It's also Miami. I think Georgia hasn't played there since 1960, hasn't played Michigan since 1965. How much of that at all do you guys get caught up in? Are you aware of, kind of the history and that kind of stuff? Do you embrace that, or no time for it? It's all about defending these guys, et cetera.
I mean, the number one thing is we're going out there for a business trip. So we have to handle our business on the field. And then, but I mean, just being in Miami, you can't just soak it in, but like we're down there for a business trip. So
yeah.
Football.
You touched on this, but Hassan Hawkett, they're running back, and the other guy, 2,000 yards rushing between the two. You just don't see that anymore. What's been your view, reviewing the tape and stuff of those guys, of how they're able to be so productive in the run game?
Those are some hard running backs, like some physical running backs. Don't go down easy. And like I said earlier, we're just going to have to stop the run because we know that's what they're going to come out trying to do.
Let's go to Jake Rowe and Allison Mastrangelo. Jake, you with us? Allison, go ahead, please.
Hey, Travon, you talked about it briefly about taking time to really watch that Alabama game and see what you can do to not have that result again. So what have you personally been working on these past couple of weeks to be ready for Michigan?
One thing that I could say would help me personally was conditioning wise, like just running harder at practice so I can get myself in that position to play as many snaps as I need to in the upcoming games so I can be in shape.
Let's go to Charles Odom and then Dean Legge.
Travon, I'm wondering if you have noticed any changes in practice since the announcement about Dan Lanning and also the Coach Smart announcing the new co-defensive coordinators with Will Muschamp and Glenn Schumann.
It's all the same because the guys and the coaches, we're still all bought in. And we're still on the same mission that we were on at the beginning of the year, which is to win the national championship. And now we have Michigan in our way. So it's no changes. Everything is still the same, really. And we just got to keep moving forward.
Trevor, I want to get back to the conditioning. Do Do you think that affected y'all, that y'all were playing so few 4-quarter games? When you're talking about now getting back into condition, do you think that had an effect during the last game that you played?
I can say that sometimes some of the guys probably did get a little winded, and that did play a small part in loss. But overall, I just think it's things that we had to fix on our own.
Let's go to David Pascal and then Connor Riley.
Hey, Travon, I don't know how well you got to know Coach Tucker during the recruiting process, but Mel Tucker's the only coach that's beaten Michigan this year. And of course, he worked with Coach Lanning and Coach Schumann. How much have y'all studied what Michigan State did? And do you know if there's been conversation with Coach Lanning and Coach Schumann with Coach Tucker about getting ready for this game?
I mean, I have watched some film from that game where they played Michigan State, but with the coaches talking, I'm really not sure how much they've talked to Coach Tucker, but I have watched that game.
Hey, Travon, earlier you mentioned having to make a statement against Michigan. How does this defense go about doing that, given how different Michigan plays?
We just have to go out there and play our ball, our type ball. And that's just being the most physical team on the field and not wanting anybody to run all over us or do whatever they do. We just want to go out there and play our ball.
Let's go to Jed May and then Ryan Curley.
Yeah, Travon, you mentioned your basketball background there a little bit ago. How specifically does that help you as a pass rusher with your footwork and balance and all those kind of things?
With my pass rush, like I said my footwork and my explosiveness. Just with me being able to do the things that I did on the court, it helps with my get off. To be specific, as like being an explosive player off the ball, and then also my footwork, which means like I don't get involved in too much of the trash that goes on the inside, say, for instance, I'm rushing on the inside.
Are you the best basketball player on this team right now?
I would agree so.
Travon, the last week or so has been different with no one on campus and everything. How has it been different for you? I know you guys get to work out a little bit more and watch film a little bit more. Is there anything specific for you that you're doing differently?
Just treatment, taking care of my body, because I know my body is a couple $1 million. So I want to just take care of my body for the future reference.
Let's go to Palmer Toms and then Michael Cunningham.
Travon, I know you've been focused on watching the Michigan offense, but wanted to see how much you've seen from Aiden Hutchinson and what stands out to you about him as a fellow defensive player.
I've watched a pretty good bit of tape, and just watching those running backs, like I stated earlier, they're hard runners and they're not easy to go down. So we have to really emphasize tackling going into this game also.
Good morning, Travon. Obviously, there's been spikes in COVID cases in a lot of different places. Has that been much part of the conversation for you guys as you get prepared to travel down here to Miami?
Yes, it has been, just because we don't want to lose any players to something that we can kind of prevent, which is by putting back on our mask. So, yes, that has been a conversation.
Let's go to Drew Hubbard.
Hey, Travon, talking about Michigan's run game, do you think going up against, Zamir White, James Cook, those guys every day in practice, do you think that's going to help you out come Orange Bowl?
I do think that'll help us out a lot, because we have a lot of good running backs and explosive and hard to tackle running backs like they are. So I do think it will help out a lot, or has helped out a lot.
We've got time for just a couple of follow-up questions. If anybody has one, feel free to jump in.
Hey, Travon, I'll jump back in just real quick. You mentioned some of the COVID stuff going on. Does that mean you guys have gone back to wearing masks more often inside? Just what kind of other precautions are you talking about?
I mean, it's by choice, but like with the type of team that we have, a lot of the guys don't even want to risk missing this game because it's so big to us. Like a lot of us are starting to put back on our masks on our own.
What are your holiday plans before you head out for the playoff game?
I'll say just basically getting home to see my parents, my grandparents, spend time with my nieces and sisters. That's my big objective over this break.
Okay, Travon, thanks for your time, and we'll see you soon.